Hello and welcome to the Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russell Sorry.
This podcast is about all things Wisconsin, history, music, and culture.
While drinking a few brews.
Though we don't often use strong language, the jokes and the content is not intended for young audiences. Listener discretion is advised.
Before we begin the episode, we have to give a huge shout out to the Dangets from Madison, Wisconsin, for providing us with great bluegrass intro you hear at the beginning of every episode. The song Razzle was written by Jamie Lampkins, but is performed on behalf of Tom Wasselchuk and the Dangets. If you have a chance, check these guys out at dang-its.com for upcoming shows, music, or on how to book them for weddings, parties, and etc. Thank you for listening.
Welcome back to Wisconsin Drunken History. We are your hosts, Eric Sturgeon.
And I'm Russ Sorry.
October marks the start of the fall Halloween season. And this month, we are working on some creepy tales and urban legends from around the entire state. Today's main story is regarding the legend of Whitewater, the Second Salem, and the truly macabre history with the paranormal and supernatural. We have great Wisconsin music from The Cutouts, the usual beer review, another edition of How Many Loco You At, and also an interview with Second Salem. We'll stop beating around the buoy. Your main story today, Whitewater, the Second Salem.
So there are many urban legends and stories that surround how and why Whitewater became known as Second Salem. Unlike Salem, Massachusetts, there were not a ton of murders or people being hanged suspected of witchcraft, but many odd and enigmatic things occurring in the Whitewater area occurred in this time period. Our first story is of the Pratt Institute, which was constructed in 1889. The institute was known for teaching spiritualism, which in the 1800s was a common belief, and for those that don't know, the definition of spiritualism is a system or belief or religious practice based on supposed communication with spirits of the dead, primarily through mediums sitting at a table, kind of a seance type deal.
Right, the thing that you always see, the occult sign right in the middle, candles burning, and a bunch of idiots sitting around in the circle.
Yeah, the Pratt Institute gave regular lectures on psychic subjects and paranormal activities. It was said that the building contained an all-white room that the seances were conducted in. The school functioned for a total of about 40 years in Whitewater. In 1946, the school was moved to Milwaukee, where it still exists today, and the Whitewater building was converted into a telephone office.
Yeah, and the school in Milwaukee is now known as University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. I'm kidding.
Yeah, they teach you some ghostly things. The second story is about the mysterious book in the Special Collections section in the basement of Anderson Library. The legend has it. It's been around for a long time, and anyone who is into the occult has probably heard about this urban legend, especially being in the state of Wisconsin. If you're into weird stuff, I know I'll watch a lot of weird crap.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is about it. I like the macabre and the weird,
Yeah, definitely. Anything strange and paranormal. I think you and I both like to get our hands on and just do a little bit deeper dig on it.
Yeah, and our state features a lot of that weird stuff. We've had a lot of interesting people. I mean, I don't want to name them because we'll probably do episodes on them, but there's just so many. I mean, like the Making a Murderer documentary. There was Brayro Beast, and I'm not going to go into some of the other ones. Ed Gein. I mean,
yeah.
Jeffrey Dahmer, just to name like some of the few. So the book is rumored to contain dark contents, and after reading the contents, the forces would make you commit suicide, according to the rumors. 3 students and a professor read the book and committed suicide based on urban legend. One person who merely borrowed the book was driven to madness and was sent to a mental hospital. And I looked everywhere and I couldn't find the actual record or occurrences of these, but
right, and that's probably the case for the different people in this first story. Regarding this secret book, I don't know that there's necessarily a real record that says any of these people's names or really anything about when they read this book or anything.
Yeah, and due to the book's reputation, it is said to be locked and secured, and anyone who asks or attempts to obtain the book would be expelled from school. So it is rumored. However, according to the library, Anderson Library, The only locked book they have is the Catholic hymnal, which is a really old rendition
Just because it's old.
Right. But it is believed that the story was a legend passed on by students due to the fact that up until 1989, the storage for the books were actually locked in cages because it was the only storage location the library had for the time. And you see it behind these locked prison bars. You're going to be like, what is going on?
Well, and for anybody who doesn't know, books are really sensitive to all different environmental things, including humidity, certain temperatures, certain lights. Paper can be destroyed almost completely just by all of those different factors that we just named.
Yeah.
So keeping them in this one particular area, which is the only area they had on campus that met most of that criteria to keep old books safe. I mean, it just happened to be behind some cages. So people were freaked out, and I'm sure that's where a lot of this urban legend comes from.
And I don't know if you know this, but the term bookworm, like somebody who reads books a lot, there actually is a bookworm that burrows into books. So when like the paper becomes old, it actually gets a little sweet and like flavorful for these insects.
Correct.
So they burrow into the binding, and you'll see these little tunnel or portholes where these worms actually dig into, and then they sit in there, eat, and then they come out and actually morph into like some kind of moth type deal.
Yeah, into the Beast of Bray Road.
Yeah, they morph into these beasts and witches and whatever.
If you've ever seen the movie Jeepers Creepers, that's what a bookworm starts out as, is one of these little creatures, and then eventually it turns into the Jeepers Creepers monster.
Yeah,
that can wreck an entire city.
Kind of what I was thinking. There might have been whole eggs coming from the books, and who knows what else. Other cryptids.
Just crazy stuff.
Champ. So the next story involves the 3 cemeteries around Whitewater: Cavalry, Oak Grove, and Hillside Cemeteries. They are rumored to have been placed in their location purposely to form a perfect isosceles triangle known as the Witch's Triangle. Isosceles triangles have a long history in the pagan, occult, and Wiccan beliefs. One particular story was that of a mysterious coffin belonging to a little girl which appeared on the campus in the 1970s during Halloween week. People believe someone had exhumed the grave and retrieved the coffin, but no one knows who or why this was done. And this actually did happen. And they don't know if it was an old coffin of a little girl or somebody constructed it as a joke.
Right.
But it was the rumor that it came from a little girl that somebody actually exhumed.
Yeah, exactly.
Another story is one regarding Mary Worth, who was an axe murderess and self-proclaimed witch. It is said that on Halloween night you can see Mary walking around the tombstones. And another legend is of the Horan family, which moved to Whitewater in 1880, and within 4 years, all of them were dead. The father and mother were first to go, and the majority of the inheritance was left to the youngest daughter, Agnes, who was not surprisingly the next victim. There were only 2 daughters left, Nellie and Annie. When Annie succumbed to the same fate as the others, suspicion grew that Nellie wasn't so innocent when a chemical analysis revealed strychnine in her system's stomach. Nellie's motive to be the sole recipient of her parents' estate was clear, and when a witness came forward and saw Nellie purchase the quantity of strychnine just a few days prior to Annie's death, Nellie knew the secrets of her murderous scheme were unraveling. She decided it would be better to face the consequences, and she consumed the remaining poison herself. Before the final throes carried her from this world, Nellie confessed to poisoning all of her entire family as well as other victims who remain unidentified to this day.
Wow, that's and you know what? Honestly, that's a really common story of inheritance. If there's a certain sum of money that's in the family and somebody's going to be the individual who inherits all of that, that's exactly what ends up happening. Fortune, unfortunately, gives way to really murderous and deviant thoughts, you know?
All right, and the last story is the actual witching which took place in Whitewater. And Eric, I know you had a lot of friends that went to UW Whitewater, and you've been to this
I went
hall.
to Whitewater too myself for a semester. And yes, all freshmen start out in this exact dormitory building.
So if you ever visit Starren Park, you will see a giant water tower. And according to legend, witches would gather around the tower where rituals and summonings were taking place. To further make the legend strange, an eerie iron fence was placed around the tower. And I saw this, and I know it's not true because I've been there. They say barbed wire was around the top, and the spikes were pointing inward, which is not true. It's actually just an iron gate with like a what do they call them, fleur-de-lis on the top of it.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, typically on like the outside of like prisons or penitentiaries that keep inmates in, that's where you would see the type of fence that we're talking about, where the top spikes point inward towards the field, and then the barbed wire is hung around that. And that's to keep anybody from climbing up and over. Once they get up, they would be met with, almost 1.5 foot long spike at the top. So it would come over them almost like a roof.
Yeah.
And so anybody who was trying that wouldn't be able to humanly get over that without cutting themselves completely to shreds and basically dangling from there. Barbed wire is not a forgiving thing.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it's a speculation. We know it's not true, but a lot of people claim that it was to keep the evil forces trapped within rather than keeping the trespassers out of the tower itself.
Wow.
The tower site is just south of Wells Hall, like we just talked about. It's one of the main dormitory buildings. It's one of the main areas in Whitewater, and everyone knows Wells Hall.
Yep. Yeah, definitely.
Who since the late 60s, after its construction, has had complaints regarding poltergeist activity and hauntings. Well Hall is also reported as having an old tunnel system used by witches to travel through the town without being spotted by civilians. One story that actually supports the theory is in 1981, the Alpha Sigma sorority had heard loud noises that were coming from the basement during dinner hour. Spooked, they all went down to see what was causing these loud noises, and they discovered that bricks had been scattered all around the floor and an underground tunnel entrance had now been exposed, which is pretty nuts.
Well, I could tell you right now, if I were in one of these buildings in 1981 and heard all of that, ruckus going on downstairs, I would have gone down and looked. And if I had seen this, foundational, bricks and stuff being scattered all over the place, and then all of a sudden there being an exposed tunnel behind all of the walls and stuff downstairs, I would have been spooked just to, I would have moved out. I would have been gone.
And, it is 1981, so the school had been around for a long time. So these probably were originally constructed as tunnels between systems in the school, not going through town, transporting witches. But it also adds to the legend, And one of our last and final occurrences happened in 1992. Students were walking late one night and discovered a ritual being performed on the beach of Whitewater Lake. When questioned about the events, they said they were just watching the ritual from, a wood line so they wouldn't be spotted.
Right.
When a large object was seen coming out of the lake.
Well, and I'm gonna tell you right now that a lot of the students and people that are in Whitewater also partake in the old booze factory as well. I don't think that it would be beyond the idea that some, like a bird or a bat or something like that, came out of the trees while they're sitting there looking, and all of a sudden all of them were like, and it's the old fish story. I caught this fish, it was this big. We tell that story next year, and the fish is all of a sudden doubled in size. So now, like we said, since 1992, the legend has grown to be that this is a gigantic, orb-like thing that came out of nowhere and came at them at this unusually high rate of speed. And I mean, like I said, the story has grown.
So what really is going on in Whitewater? Is it all legend and lore, or is it based in reality? Let us know what you think. Comment, let us know, because we want to hear your take on it. I mean, this is a really cool thing, and not a lot of people know about it. And in Whitewater today, there's a brewery with a name, Second Salem, and they have some great selections of beer and pay homage to the town's weird history, as well as other creepy creatures and cryptids from the area, including our hometown legend,
Beast of Bray Road.
And, of course, the Wild Man on Lagrange, which is another weird story.
Well, I think that is just, honestly, my neighbor Doug.
Yeah, it might be. And actually, it's funny. It's a pretty short story because there's not a lot known. But there was a man picked up. He was a wild man. He had a huge beard, like no shirt, looked rugged. And the cops actually caught the dude, right? And he escaped and ran off. So it just became like kind of an urban legend, too. Another story. And Lagrange is right in that area. It's kind of there's like Elkhorn, Lagrange, and then you get to Whitewater after Lagrange. So we hope you enjoyed our first installment of our Halloween series. I know I love looking at this stuff. I love all things weird. I know I just really love macabre, weird things.
Yeah, the anything paranormal, macabre, occult, it definitely strikes me as something that I'm interested in, and I definitely want to always dig a little deeper into it and read all of the firsthand accounts. It always just really gets me in that mood of just excitement. I just love it. Everything about it.
Yeah, it's that fear and intrigue that just interests us so much. It's the unknown. Like, we're just naturally curious people,
Right. Like, most of us know and understand that the Wolfman and vampires and stuff, they don't exist. But what if they did?
Yeah.
What if the world was, fell to a zombie apocalypse? We know that it's not likely to happen, but we always ponder that idea that maybe it could.
Exactly. And that's going to conclude our main story, but stay tuned. We got a lot of great things coming up.
All right. And we have a truly awesome band based out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin today. This is the Cutouts. And they really developed their style off of their aunts, uncles, family members' music stylings that they listened to when they were kids, kind of heard growing up. And this song in particular, Zombie Howl, is not only perfect for today's show, but has a really unique style to it.
Yeah, I love the sound. It kind of reminds you of that 60s vibe. You get a little surf rock in there, which is really neat. And I know recently I've been checking out this band called Temples, and they're kind of like that same sound where they brought back that vintage sound to it. It's just really neat.
Yeah, I'm absolutely a fan. This song in particular, when I first heard it, I was drawn and just really, really love that surf rock kind of style that this one brings. Their other songs don't necessarily bring that same tone, which is awesome. I love when we hear, sort of a little bit of a different style from each one of their tunes. And like I said, this is definitely one of those bands that you got to go and check out their entire catalog. They just recently released another EP as well. So without any further ado, here is Zombie Howl from the Cutouts.
Your mind.
All right, and again, that was the Cutouts with Zombie Howl. I love that song. It's perfectly fitting for this time of year. Also, we have a beer review.
Woo!
Yeah, baby. And this thing comes to us from Milwaukee Brewing Company.
So today we're drinking Hop Freak. It's a double IPA at 8.7% alcohol by volume. This one's probably going to wreck me today, dude.
This one will definitely be able to take you right to the grave.
And actually on the can, they have like a really cool monster on it. And yeah, he just looks pretty mad. He looks like, dude, don't drive home today. Kind of look to him.
Yeah, I'm angry about OWIs.
And if you read the can, they have herb in legend, spelled as herbs, herb in legend. And this series is of the Adventure Brew series from Milwaukee Brewing Company. And it's it's a collaboration with Milwaukee's own Rishi tea.
Yeah.
And then it's also infused with a organic jasmine tea, leading to a sweet floral aroma. Strong citrus notes come from generous amount of American hops. And Hop Freak was born big and bigger. Big and bitter. But a sizable malt bill adds balance to this beast. And yeah, you definitely get the floral up front, which is really tasty, and it's
nice and florally. But you do get, because it's a double IPA, this thing is bitter. It's not over. When I originally cracked it, I thought, okay, this is going to be a big punch of dryness and bitterness, and it's not, which is refreshing because with a lot of doubles, you get just an overbearing amount of hop, which is great because it's in the name. You're going to get that double IPA feel. But with this one, it doesn't absolutely crush you.
Yeah, the one thing that's nuts, it comes in a 1-pint can. And it's like like Eric said, it's not like overbearing, but it is a 8.7%. And I know when I finish this, it's going to feel like I got an elbow from Macho Man from the top ropes.
Oh, yeah, baby. Macho Man elbow.
But again, yeah, this one is really good. I highly recommend it. I'm actually really enjoying it. It tastes great. Milwaukee Brewing Company is another huge Milwaukee brewer. It's awesome.
Like we've had before, kind of just a bunch of different beers from them. All of them have that really, really well-balanced feel and taste to them. They're not overdone with either hoppiness or citrusy. They really are able to pack a good punch, but yet stay well balanced on the mouthfeel.
Mouthfeel. Oh yeah.
This thing is definitely going to fuel your mouth though. But they stay really well balanced with the mouth feel and also all of those different tastes.
Yeah, and I know Milwaukee Brewing Company actually started off in like it was kind of a junky warehouse, and they recently just got a new building, I think in the last few years here, and it's really cool. I mean, I hate to say this, but Lakefront is number one. I mean, that tour is hard to beat, but I would have to say, and don't be angry with me, but Milwaukee Brewing Company is probably the second best tour. I really love their beers. They've been around probably not as long as Lakefront. Lakefront is probably the original Milwaukee craft beer, and I've been on a lot of tours. And if you like domestic beer, I highly recommend actually checking out the Miller tour as well, which is actually really cool.
Yeah, and that one is more of that one's a little bit more of a tour on distribution, the largeness, the quantity, the canning and bottling operations that they house right in there. It's great to understand at a volume how much beer they're producing versus in a craft beer situation, just how much effort goes into making each beer special and unique. So it's a totally different tour, tour material, but at the same time, you get a really, really good idea of the volume that Miller will produce versus the quantity or the quality rather of beers that Lakefront or MKE or Mobcraft or any of the more local nano and micro brews that will produce.
Yeah, and the cool thing is I'm really into beer, so I've been to most of these tours, and out of all of them, I think I would have to say Lakefront's number one. I mean, I've been to that one. That one's just so good. They just do the best. But
Yeah.
Milwaukee Brewing Company for craft beer, don't be angry, but I think it's probably the number 2 in Milwaukee for craft beer.
Yeah, no, I definitely, I don't disagree with you. There's plenty of really, really great micro and nano brews, really great IPAs, hazies, and just amazing quality beers. But MKE has been doing an amazing job since kind of its inception of making beers that are drinkable at all levels.
Agreed. And like we said, this one is called Hop Freak, and it's from Milwaukee Brewing Company. Another one that's available most of the year, and we highly recommend you go pick this up, try it, let us know what you think, comment, whatever you want.
Yeah, and then also be sure to check out all of their other beers that are available as well. They make a whole slew of beers that are drinkable at any level. So MKE Brewing, Milwaukee Brewing Company, however you say it, they're amazing. And now we have another edition of How Many Loco You At?
So this is another one where it's messed up that this occurs in our state, but I'm going to let Sturgeon read it, and we can kind of discuss from there.
Yeah, this is sort of a disgusting figure, but a Wisconsin man is facing at least his 10th drunken driving charge. Now, the reason why it says at least is because at a certain point in time, a certain past Wisconsin figure was that you didn't actually get an OWI. It was considered lesser charges. Some of them weren't on the record permanently. So on his record, the actual stat is 10th. So this 66-year-old man from Green Bay was arrested early Wednesday in Oconto County. Authorities allege he had an open beer in the center console of his car. Officials say the state patrol was helping with traffic when the man parked his vehicle and approached a state trooper. The trooper saw the beer on the console. I'm going to tell you right now, if you're about to get out of your car and you're about to approach law enforcement at all, you should probably make sure that any of those open intoxicants or anything illegal is hidden out from plain view. So anyway, the complaint says that the driver, he did have a valid driver's license. He was charged with operating while intoxicated, and it was his 10th or more offense. The news reports say bond was set at $25,000 cash, and if convicted, the driver would face up to 15 years in prison, which in the state of Wisconsin, they don't take these higher level offenses lightly.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going to get some serious time behind bars. Now, whether or not you actually serve that amount of time in prison is kind of up for debate.
Yeah.
Really what it comes down to is, what did his prior convictions have in them as well? Are any of them serious offenses with involving great bodily harm, involving property damage? If this is just a number 10 OWI with nothing in his past that is a real serious adder to the offense, he could probably serve as many as 4 to 5 years tops.
It's crazy. Like, he literally hit the 10th anniversary DUI, or what they call it in the wedding is the tin anniversary of drinking.
He literally hit his 10th.
And we don't ever name people, but this dude has like the best Charles Bronson mustache I've ever seen, dude.
This guy has one of the finest upper lip caterpillars I've ever seen in my life.
It's bushy, dude. It's white, man. It's lethal.
It is. He's definitely a lethal weapon on this thing.
If you stare at that stash long, it's going to come out and fucking karate chop you, dude.
And that's probably why he felt so compelled and confident to approach law enforcement. I mean, they typically have a nice, at-the-lip, cut-off mustache. And he also, dons the exact same thing. He thought, you know what, I'm going to walk over here and I'm going to tell these guys what's up with this mustache and tell them that they need to clear the cars out of the way. I got drinking and driving to do. Clear the barrier. I gotta get through there.
And maybe he thought it'd be a little intimidating because it is, dude. It's a Charles Bronson, dude. It's a full blown beef.
It's a sick stash.
It's not bad, and I know I rock a pretty good stash. I don't normally do it, but like I have rocked some pretty good stashes in the past.
Yeah,
I got a bushy upper lip.
As
man.
our hosts go, so between myself and you have the better stash.
It's
You could rock
ridiculous, dude.
A sick upper Caterpillar if you wanted.
It's a Burt Reynolds or Charles Bronson look-alike. It's not bad. It's not a bad mustache.
I've got a weak upper lip game, which is fine. My dad did too. Eventually, because his hair was darker than mine, he was able to rock a nice stash. I don't think I'll ever be able to get this level of nice upper brusherness.
No, shit's ferocious. And but when locals go, if you are getting a 10th OWI, like you got some tolerance built in your system, 10, you're drinking a lot.
And it doesn't say anything about his alcohol, his blood alcohol content. It doesn't say anything about struggling to walk, struggling to speak.
Right, so he just had an open intoxicant. Like
exactly. It sounds like he was
sucking a road soda.
Maybe he had one loco in the center console, and he was getting near the half of it, or maybe like a third of it, or he was getting down to like the 3/4 level of it. So I'm thinking maybe he's at a 3.
So this is an unfortunate 2 loco.
This is either a 2 or 3 loco.
Man, that sucks. It's like and it's too bad he has such a criminal past, with drinking, because a 2 loco, like I've driven on a 1 loco, 2 loco, and you're okay.
Many
like
times,
you're fine, and you're under the state law. You're not slurring your speech. You're not falling over. You're not doing some nasty things.
Now he's not by comparison, because at a certain level you are no longer you're not held to the same standard and same law as somebody without OWIs. He's probably looking at a .02 is his legal level behind the wheel.
Exactly.
So even he could smell a 4 loco and be over the limit by all standards. So my guess is either a 2 or 3 loco. So either a half can, a 3/4 can, and we don't advise anybody drink and drive at all. Ubers and Lyfts are so cheap and so prevalent these days. Taxi cabs in bigger cities are available. You can probably just stand outside of a pub in Milwaukee or in Chicago, hail down a cab with just a signal of your hand. So don't do it. You're going to end up with a tin like this guy, 10 of them. But to be honest, this guy, he should have been smarter than to do something like this.
Oh no, and I agree completely. And it's too bad, because why did he have if he didn't have the open soda, he actually might have been okay at a 2 loco. I don't recommend anyone drink and drive, but if you're under the legal limit, you're not unorderly, you're not driving all over, you're not endangering somebody.
Then just get home.
Just
and
go
also,
home.
Don't interfere with law enforcement. If they're doing their job and they're stopping traffic, that's all they're doing. They don't need you to come and help assist with anything whatsoever. And also, they don't care about your commentary.
And this guy's definitely not a local drinker. Let's just throw it out there. Looking at this guy, he is a Hams.
Oh, Hams or like Milwaukee's Best.
Yeah, he's one of those type of drinkers. So, and that's going to conclude our How Many Local You At? Now on to our interview, brother.
Yeah, baby.
So we're here with Kristen from Second Salem Brewing Company in Whitewater, Wisconsin. How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you doing this morning?
Not too bad. So we're trying to find out a little history about the brewery itself, when you guys got started. We're doing the episode today on the Second Salem of Whitewater, which is pretty cool tale in itself. But yeah, we're just trying to get a little information about the brewery, and we'll let you go from there.
So the plans for Second Salem started around 2013, maybe end of 2012. And the brewery actually came to fruition in 2014 in developmental stages, like many breweries, because as you know, they're not cheap to build. So we took an existing bar area that we had and we used it for service while the kind of brewery and tap room was still under construction. And we consider our grand opening, once everything was completed, December 2014.
Awesome. And do you guys have any new beers coming out that you would like to share?
So we are in the process of trying to make a regularly every week or every other week on Saturdays beer releases. Currently, right now, last week we released our Oktoberfest. 'Tis the season. It's probably my favorite beer style. So
Absolutely.
it's a Marzen style, traditional Marzen style beer. Yesterday we released a sour blackberry and cucumber ale. So we're kind of going all over the place. I like my traditional beers. I like my maltiness. I like my cleanness. I like things like that. But I'm also enjoying some of these new experimental beers and these new styles that the industry is starting to take us through.
Yeah, I just love how you guys kind of, pay homage to like the Bray Road Beast and, the Second Salem and all the weird cryptids and stuff we have in the area.
Well, the reason we pay homage, and even though with Second Salem, witchcraft is our main theme that we go towards, our local history in Whitewater, the story of the Beast Bray Road is what inspired us to name the brewery Second Salem after Whitewater's history. So that's kind of why we still focus on that as our flagship beer, to pay homage to it. And, if fortunately a few years ago in 2016, we were able to take third at the World Beer Cup with it. So it's one that we like to kind of put on the mantle and put out there.
That's awesome. Congratulations, by the way. That's huge.
Thank you. I refer to it as dumb luck.
Right, yeah. Well,
yeah, we're both familiar with the area. We grew up in Elkhorn when we were kids when the Bray Road Beast was happening, and I lived right off Bray Road there.
Yep.
And it was a pretty interesting time.
Yeah, you see some pretty sketchy characters out there, not just the Bray Road Beast, but just some pretty sketchy townies.
The amount of people that come into the brewery on a regular basis and tell us they live down Bray Road, they grew up on Bray Road, they're from the Elkhorn side or the Burlington side. I've had members of the Bray family like Ben Bray play music live at the brewery before, so it's fun, and it's cool because even when we travel for beer events, whether we're in Washington, Nashville, Denver, and we run into other people just in the brewery industry, the Beast of Bray Road is known about throughout the U.S. It's been on the Discovery Channel, it's been on the History Channel. There are a couple really terrible B movies made after it with more awesome posters. So it's kind of neat that we can be singled out for that as well.
Yeah, my dad owns a farm on Bowers Road, and they filmed that new Small Town Monsters documentary at his farm, which was kind of cool.
Was that the one the Travel Channel did about 2 years ago?
Yep, it was the one, and they filmed in my dad's barn. It's kind of like old, like creepy-looking barn.
Yep. I watched the episode several times because, as you know, we were on it as well.
That's awesome.
Exactly. All right, so before we let you go, we always ask our guests how Wisconsin you are. They're just, 8 to 10 questions, kind of things that Wisconsinites face, and we just want to see if you've been through some of these things and your take on them.
Okay, we'll go.
All right, the first question, have you ever tailgated at a Packers, Brewers, or Badgers game?
All of the above.
There you go.
The trifecta. Awesome.
Perfect score.
Have you ever rocked a cheese hat?
Yes.
Awesome. I know we were discussing how they made like the cheese bra and everything. I think I'm going to get a full armor set one of these days.
Well, is that at a sporting event or is that for recreation?
Oh, both.
Yes.
Anything you want.
I don't know if my girlfriend will find me too attractive, but I'm still gonna try it.
Go for it.
Have you ever had a true muddled old fashioned?
Every Friday.
Awesome.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, with your fish fry, right, or before the fish fry, maybe.
Well, I gotta make sure that since the brew pub has an alcohol license, we serve a lot of old fashioned. So I gotta make sure that the product is up to standard for the customer.
Oh, that's a great quality control job.
Yeah, it's tough, but sometimes we fight through it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Yeah.
Have you ever not made it into work from a snowstorm?
Unfortunately, the answer to that is no, because I pretty much have always been self-employed. My family owned restaurants I grew up in. I ended up doing the restaurants. I've never really worked for somebody else, so I've had no choice. I've always been there.
Yeah. Have you ever milked a cow?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, man, you're hitting
Extra,
these.
extra points for milking the cow manually.
Yes.
Yeah.
There you
It was
go.
manually. It was manually.
Have you ever hit a deer?
4.
Oh, nice.
All at the same time? Did you crush the whole
No.
family?
No, not at the same time. I think, best of my knowledge, I know of 2 dead on site and 2 that got away.
So you didn't do the full Manson murder of the deer family?
He didn't go Rambo style on it.
Not the full. So, and the cool thing is, if you do it right, you can gut it and tenderize it all in one shot
There
before
you
you claim it.
Have you ever been to a supper club, and which one would you consider your favorite?
I've been to many a supper club. I'm going to go bias, and I don't know if it's because it's my wife's favorite and we're always on a mini vacation, but I'm a big fan of the Ishnala outside Wisconsin Dells.
Ish, sure.
That's like I think that was rated #1 recently.
Yeah.
Was it? I
Yeah.
haven't been there in a few years, but I always enjoy it up there.
So I'm sure you enjoy some beer brats. Is there a second Salem beer you recommend put in your beer brat?
Yes, all of them.
All of them? Get a
Well,
variation.
Absolutely,
Well,
yeah.
it really depends. I'm a sucker for darker beer, so I like that like Beaster Bay Road Amber. If it's a spicier pork, I'm going to tell you to go with an IPA. But the lighter beers are definitely better. And for crying out loud, do it right. You're supposed to boil the beer you're supposed to boil the brats and beer after you grill it, not before.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Because then it pushes all the beer flavor out of it.
Yep.
That's just it. Everyone on here kind of debates that question. That's the way we do it.
It's a very hotly debated topic, and I think
It
that
is.
you're correct though. You want to pull it off the grill with the grill marks and just a little bit of that, and then finish it off in that beer and give it that last little bit of flavor.
Yeah, and then sheet. Like if you're at your Sunday grill out or it's football season, hopefully we have one. You put out that crock pot and you let the beers just simmer in that. You let the brats just simmer in that beer with some onions and peppers and stuff like that.
I'm the same way.
And do not bring a bottle of ketchup out in front of me when you're eating a brat.
Oh, no way.
Mustard is the only acceptable condiment in my opinion, other than some sauerkraut.
Absolutely.
All right. Bloody Marys. How do you make yours?
Spicy.
Same
Yeah.
here. Yeah. We were just talking about what's that one? Chubby Tubs or whatever?
No, Jimmy loves.
Jimmy loves.
Jay loves.
Jimmy loves.
Yeah.
Jimmy loves is a good mix.
I mean, that'll wreck your whole Sunday, probably part of your Monday.
Yeah, I'm not a big tomato juice fan, so I like them spicy if I'm going to have them. And I think the reason I'm not a big tomato juice fan is in college I had more towards the adult side of college. I had a good friend that if you went out with him on Sundays and you were hungover, you had to drink what he was drinking, and he drank poor man's Bloody Mary. So he was drinking Pabst and tomato juice together.
My.
Yeah, and I'm
it was
not a
just-
fan of that. I think
dude.
there's a beer company that makes one that's the clamato and just beer.
Ugh.
Yeah,
That's gross.
Yeah, that's the old school professional.
Yeah.
Yuck.
I haven't seen too many. I've seen some people in Elkhorn rock that actually. Like they love. I'm like, dude, that's like.
My parents and their friends did, and that's what turned me off of it right away.
Ugh.
It's gross.
Yeah, yep.
All right. Well, we got one more question before we let you go today. Besides Second Salem, is there another brewery tour you recommend? Go and check it out.
Brewery tour.
Yeah.
Well, ours is pretty small. I always de facto people to Lakefront.
Yeah.
Lakefront's just got a fantastic brewery tour. The people are always great. Sometimes Russ will be out there giving the tour. Sometimes Jim will be out there giving the tour. And it's just a great location. It's got a lot of great history. Lakefront has done so much for our brewing industry in Wisconsin. It's a great time. I always love stopping there.
Yeah, I know. My first ever brewery tour at Lakefront was Russ Klisch as my tour guide, which was absolutely fantastic. You're correct. It's a fun tour, but also it's just it like you said, Lakefront has done such an amazing job to kind of set the pathway for all of the craft independent breweries that are opening up, and I love it.
Well, and it's no offense to anybody who gives a brewery tour. I mean, they're always good. It's always great, informative. But no matter where you go, if you were to go to Mobcraft, Third Space, Lakefront, wherever you go, there's a difference between having one of your regular employees, no matter how good they are, give the tour, and then having the owner who started the brewery, because you're always going to get that much more detail. You're always going to get that much more enthusiasm. You're always going to get that little bit extra that's going to top it off.
I agree, and that's what sets it apart. You're absolutely correct. Is having that that really personal touch. Yeah, I definitely I want to make it out to Second Salem. I think that would be not only an amazing, even if it is a small tour, it would just be amazing to see all of you guys as well.
Well, the way we usually handle tours, because we are a really small nano brewery, is special events, or if you catch me there while we're not brewing and I have the opportunity, I'm more than happy to take anybody through our little area and kind of tell you the evolution of how we got to where we are and what our hopeful vision going forward is.
Yeah, I know I've been there multiple times, and actually I think I kind of know one of the brewers. I think they're kind of an assistant brewer, Uriah. He's a pretty good guy, and we know him pretty well.
Oh, yeah, okay,
yeah,
sure.
Uriah is actually from the Elkhorn area as well.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we knew him growing up with him, obviously skateboarding and stuff like that.
Playing music and skateboarding, sure.
But yeah, Uriah's a good guy.
Awesome.
But yeah, we want to thank you for your time, and we really appreciate it. We're really excited to have you on our Second Salem episode. It was kind of a must thing. I know it was kind of last minute, and we really appreciate it.
No worries, guys. I appreciate you reaching out to me.
All right, thanks. We'll hope to catch you in the future.
Yeah, thank you guys. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Yep.
All right, that concludes this episode of Wisconsin Drunken History Podcast.
If you enjoyed this vulgar display of Wisconsin, we recommend you subscribe via SoundCloud, Apple Podcast, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn.
Also, leave us a review on any one of those above-mentioned sites, and we can read one at the end of every show. Follow us on social media, and feel free to reach out, especially if there is a piece of history or weird news you'd love us to share or research, as well as highlight some local artists or music. Our website is projectcapestudio.com.
I'd also like to thank my friend and past coworker, Steph Skiback, for providing us with awesome podcast cover art, as well as the Dangits for intro and outro music, and all of you for listening. As always,
Watch out for deer on the way home.